Okay, so my name is Mel. I am from Life Forest Cemeteries, and I am here with Kelly. Kelly is not only the president of the Life Forest nonprofit board, but she owns Lois's. I practiced how to say that prior to this. I'm always sitting like far front, and then yeah, it never looks balanced. But anyway, Kelly is owner of Lois's Natural Marketplace in Scarborough, Maine, and we have learned about and done some application of what we call a, a gift economy model to grow our reach, our ability to form community around the things that we want to support. And we do that in the cemetery design because there is already a lot of scarcity in death. So the idea of creating scarcity doesn't feel really good. So the way I describe it is if there are, or if you're in the housing market and you're looking for a home and there's only one house on the market, that house is going to be extortionately priced because, you know, there's not a lot to go around. And if there's a lot of houses on the market, that brings the housing prices down. And that kind of design is used often in order to market things, to make money, to create this feeling of get it now or it might not be there. And I just, you know, personally felt strongly that that design doesn't work or feel good in an environment where there's already a lot of loss. So to create any sort of additional feelings of anxiety or push certainly isn't healing in any sort of way. I want to start with being able to introduce some of the things that Kelly has tied her business into in order to give back to the community, and also some of the initiatives that we are doing at Life Forest to give back to our community, and then how that kind of resonates in the broader spectrum of, you know, how Life Forest and community building intersect with something like a community-based natural foods market. I know the cemetery and a natural foods market doesn't seem to connect in any sort of way, but it does. So I'd like to kind of introduce Kelly. Kelly, tell me about your history with Lois's Natural Market. Did I say it right?
Lois's Natural Marketplace. I know it's 4 letters. It's really hard to, but LOIS Natural.
Yeah, but it's got an apostrophe on it.
I know, it's challenging.
That's right, a lot of
Well, the store's been in business for over 30 years. I've been there for over 25 years. And in October 2024, another manager and I purchased it from the original owner.
What was that? What was that person's name?
Lois. It's LOIS. And Lois created the store with her husband at that time to have a place where community could go and buy things that weren't really readily available then. You know, organic tofu, organic brown rice, local produce. You know, there wasn't really a great community. I mean, there were some co-ops and things, but just not. And there wasn't really Whole Foods around, and the supermarkets didn't have those things accessible. So that's how it started. And it's progressed a lot over the years, but it's always had a community focus, always tried to give back. But in the recent years, starting this kind of fall into winter season when people were threatened with losing some of their food assistance and otherwise, that kind of gave us a different shift with how exactly to connect with the community at that time. So the first organization we worked with supporting was the Locker Project. We've worked with them over the years. They work with, they get a lot of their products from local markets. They try to get produce and bread, anything like that before it goes out of date or spoils.
Okay.
And then they rely on volunteers to help distribute it through the foods, through the schools.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's why it's called Locker Project.
Yeah.
So they give it to kids
Right.
in
Kids and their
school
families.
systems. Okay. And so they do that using the schools as the access point for disbursement.
Correct.
And it's like kind of stuff that may have just less of a shelf life.
Yeah, surplus product and that sort of thing.
Now, do you get a lot of that surplus?
We don't have
product?
a ton at our store. We're pretty good with managing inventory. We don't, we really
it's a
try to
small
focus,
business.
put it on sale before it goes bad, that kind of thing.
Sure.
But there's, there can be some here and there. And we've definitely donated in the past, financial donations or food donations. They buy in so much, abundance sells, but it doesn't always move all of it.
Yeah. So, how did you first hear about the Locker Project? Did they come to you, or
I think
did you
they
go
probably
to them?
approached us. Yeah, they're very local. They're based out of South Portland.
Okay.
So, we started small with little excess foods that we had available. And they're always grateful for whatever amount, and they're so local, so they could just swing by and pick up a couple cases of something.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a really small nonprofit based business. They're not like a Goodwill size.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But they work primarily in your community only, or are they kind of broader?
The greater Portland area.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to learn more about the Locker Project, or had food insecurity and thought, well, maybe this is a way to help kind of bridge that financial gap for my family, how would you get in touch with them? Do you have a website?
Yeah, they have a website. They're easily reachable.
Locker Project. Locker Project.
The Locker Project.
So that was kind of like back when there were some transitions in food assistance.
Correct.
And that's how you kind of connected with them. And this is what, like 2 years ago?
Within the last year.
Yeah.
It's been actually probably over 5 years that we've
wow.
been in contact with them and helping in small ways.
Nice.
Actually, during COVID, during COVID, when we were doing a totally different model for sales, we did curbside sales for customers. And at that time, we got in contact. They probably reached out to us, but we added an option for people's purchases if they wanted to put a donation to the Locker Project. So that was our first big push with them. And that was really cool. People were good about it. So we pulled in a pretty good amount of it.
I always wonder when I'm out shopping and a business has this, like, would you like to donate to whatever XYZ initiative? And you could like add $1 or something at checkout.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not that money actually got to those places, like
one would hope. Yeah. It definitely does at our store. Like monitoring, I think.
Of course.
You never know at some random corner store, like
at the jar.
But yeah.
No, it's nice to feel and see the actual name and person. Like sometimes I feel like, would you like to give it to kids in need? I'm like, oh, do you see that I have 2 needy kids right here, but to be able to put a name to what's going on, I really like that. And I like that it's also a small business. So, Locker Project tying in with Lois Natural Market just kind of definitely brings those smaller parts of the community together.
We handle our donation a little differently too. We don't ask people. We have really visible signage. We make it easy for people to see and try to explain it, as briefly as possible what it's for. But we don't have the cashier say, do you want to donate to this? Do you want to donate? And do you want to round up? We just don't want to put people on the spot, and we don't want to make our cashiers feel like zombies, I just feel like there's kind of a burnout there. So instead it's just,
it's available to you, and it's made obvious how to do it. I love that.
So they can either put money in a cash box at the register, or they can add on to their purchase.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
They're making it simple. So I'm going to go back and forth and talk about an initiative that we're doing at Life Force, and then go back to some of the things that Kelly is supporting through her community natural food store. So one of the initial kind of reaches that Life Forest offered was that we made a decision early on. We're never charging to bury a child, and that would be up to the age of 20, because there is no real way that a child under the age of 20 has their own insurance, has their own ability to self-support. But also, I mean, anybody who has a child, you know, you shouldn't have to pay to bury them. And this isn't like an income dependent thing. Like, I don't care if you have $10 billion or no dollars. If you lose a child, you lose a child. This is not a financial decision to make this offering. This was about a grief supporting decision. So not all, I think, gifts need to be tied with like the traditional version of what economy is, like money exchange. I think giving back and supporting somebody in grief and showing like at this terrible moment, money is not needing to be exchanged. Just use it for something else, because there's just some things that shouldn't have to have a price tag attached. And that was what we believed. And that was kind of what initiated our gift economy, basically growth model. And our first ever burial beyond my mom happened to be somebody that reached out, and this young lady was hit by a car at 19 years old. And I think that model had been decided on probably about 2 weeks prior to hearing from this family. So when we gifted this burial, I had thought to myself, all right, this is a really lovely thing. The family was so very grateful. But, we were fledgling. We're just a tiny piece of land in the middle of the woods of Hillsborough. And, we were struggling to kind of get up and going and start what we were trying to create with Life Forest. It was very early on. And I remember the first week after the burial, a car pulled in and this young boy got out of the car, and it was the sister of the brother of the girl that was buried, Eric. And Eric came out and he's like, "Hey, Mel, I'd like to help out today." And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So he mowed the lawn, but not only did he mow the lawn, he mowed the whole trail, 16 acres of trail. And he got back, and I remember I only had like $5 in my wallet, and I felt kind of cheap. I was like, "Oh, Eric, man, that was so much work." He's a 16-year-old kid. It's hot out, And I was like, "But all I have is $5." And I went in my wallet to get my $5. I was like, "Well, I'll get you later, And he was like, I don't want your $5. He's like, "You buried my sister for free. Like, I want to do this for you." And I was like, "Wow, this is incredible. That's so kind of him." And then the next week, same date, same time, car pulls up, Eric gets out, mows the lawn. And so at the end of it, I would say that kid mowed that lawn so many times throughout 2 seasons just to be helpful. And then he went off to the military. But when you balance out like how to build economy, and you look, okay, we donated a burial plot, but then this person helped to maintain the land that would have cost X amount of money, you see these balances like really taking place. So that really kind of made us feel like this is definitely the approach that we want to take when it comes to building what we're trying to do in our missions and things like that. So again, if God forbid you know of anybody that needs a burial for a child up to the age of 20, reach out to us at Life Forest and we will help you out. We will go through how that works. There is no qualification process, obviously. It's just we will guide you and help you through that. So you can contact us 603-315-0790. All right. So let's move on to, we're going to juggle back and forth in different ways that we give and different things that we want to support. So what would be something else that you guys have done?
First, I thought of an important detail that I didn't share about how we collect donations. We also match 100% of what customers donate. So we're not just looking for people to, give.
Yeah.
We're matching. We're doing our part too. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you ever come up, like somebody comes up with like a giant $10,000 check, and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna match that.
We don't really know what our budget. We don't have a set budget. We're kind of just going with the flow. It hasn't pushed our boundaries at this point. So
I love that.
Great. Yeah,
that's perfect. So, is there other places?
Another one we did early on in this was Project Grace. And they work. It's a volunteer-run nonprofit. And they provide confidential, direct support, such as fuel assistance. So that was a big issue this winter. Everybody was losing.
Definitely.
Means to buy groceries, gift cards. They have food drives. Yeah, so that's a big one. But a lot of these are people and community focused for sure.
How would somebody get in touch with them?
They have a website as well.
What's the name of it again?
Project Grace.
Project Grace.
Yeah, and they're based out of Scarborough.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. All right, so we'll go back to what was initiative we have at Life Forest, and we have a program called the Guardianship Burial Program, and we had a funeral director that works with us, Tracy Denver. She spearheaded all of this. And it came from a simple ask. She was taking care of a gentleman, well, not him himself, well, his cremated remains for several years. And you can learn more about the depth of this program in, I think it was episode 1 of this whole live stream when I'm talking to Tracy. So the video of that is on our learning channel. But she reached out to me and said, hey, I know that we're due like gift economy within Life Forest model. And I really want this guy to have a burial plot. Like he's been sitting on my mantle for so many years. And I want something for this gentleman that I've never met. But, I honor that he lived a good life and I want him to have like a permanent space. And I said, well, of course. Like that's easy. Like we can do that. And that ended up becoming an entire initiative in which we partner with anybody who's in the care of a guardian. So it could be a public guardian, it could be a private guardian. And what happens is that guardian helps to ensure the protection of this person throughout their life, their financials, their housing, all sorts of different aspects. But upon death, they really have, lost that ability for support and care. And so there's a gap between their care and then end of life care, where if a family member doesn't come and pick up the person's cremated remains, they kind of are left in limbo on shelves. And oftentimes, people in the death care community are at a point where they'll wait. And then they say, well, let's bring this person and scatter them in a beautiful place. And that's, very good intentions. But what happens is that then there's no record of where they actually are. And a lot of times the people in these programs are not retrieved because people don't love them. It's because they weren't the person that was contacted. So, a guardian has just so many points of contact. Oftentimes it's probably 1 or 2 at most. And so they'll call those 2 people, and maybe they're in a position where they are themselves not able to pick up the person. They're far away. They're also incapacitated. You don't know their situation. The family dynamic is not healthy. Who knows? But that doesn't mean a person's world isn't defined to 2 phone numbers, that somebody has access to. And so other people do try to look partners, friends, cousins, loved ones, all these people, they care about these people, but they don't know where they are because they become lost on a shelf somewhere with no documentation and no ways of finding them. And so this program's, under intention is to make sure that everybody gets a deed recorded burial so that their name is associated with public record. And if somebody types them into their computer, they can find them. And we have had so many families reconnect through this program, and so many families say, wow, I didn't know what Life Force was. I didn't understand. I didn't even know they had passed away. Like half the time, poor Danielle is telling them, well, Life Force is actually a cemetery and they're buried there. And, dealing with the sadness and shock of that. But then oftentimes people come and they purchase a plot right next to them, or they say, this place is beautiful and we're so very thankful because otherwise we wouldn't have even known they had passed away. And this is ways in which they're speaking positively about Life Forest, and ways that they are talking and showing up on the land to be part of what we're trying to build. And another way in which this Gift Economy initiative has given back to us tenfold from what we've given. So that's pretty cool. All right, want to talk about another one that you
Sure.
did? This giving.
Our next one was an eye-opener, but not really surprising. So we did Heart, which is a no-kill adoption center based out of Cumberland, Maine.
Ooh.
And they're dedicated to giving vulnerable cats a second chance, giving them medical care, and finding them a great forever home. People love animals more than people a lot of times.
I agree with that. Yeah,
we really wanted to be able to get a cat, or a day where we had cats or dogs come in, but it just didn't really work out. But nevertheless,
they're like tap dancing on the grapes. Sorry,
but that was our biggest donation month so far. We've had some, I think, maybe match or come close since, but that really spiked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
they're
so
helpless.
cute.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Everyone loves their cats or dogs.
So it's HART, not
HART. Exactly. Yeah.
HART, and they help to support homeless cats. Is it homeless cats? Feral?
Unhoused cats. They, any cat that isn't being cared for, whether it's stray or surrendered. If they have medical issues, behavioral issues, they really do everything they can to get them back on track. And even if they have issues, finding the right match for them, somebody who's willing to put in the extra time and effort.
So they partner people with the cat, like they pair people with cats.
Yeah, it's an adoption center, but they have a strict process where they make sure to get the right fit, which I think most places do that. But
yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say people really love their animals, and sometimes more than their people, because we have the opportunity. We let people bury them with their pets. So you can be buried with your animal companions in a way that's like totally open and legal. Nobody's sneaking anybody in, right? Like, let me just put Fluffy in with Frank, nobody say anything. No, that's not how it works for us. Like, we're like, you know what? Fluffy and Frank belong together. And we celebrate the animals, and they are recorded with the people and treated with equal respect, which is awesome. And there are times when we have like somebody who's buried their pets and their person. And I remember seeing one of the memorial markers, and I was like, oh my gosh, that cat's so beautiful, right? There was a little picture of the cat. And, another, they had buried a couple of different members of their pet family. And then I said, well, that's incredible. They purchased a plot for their cats. And then our land manager's like, well, her husband's actually buried there too. And I'm like, oh, There was no marker. We chose to leave that poor guy out. But it just goes to show that people really love their pets and they want to be with their pets and they provide us such comfort, especially I think at the end of life. And so I love that this community thing exists for these cats, So I don't have, I just talked enough about something. You
Sure.
Carry on.
Another great one is Finding Our Voices. It's a grassroots nonprofit and sisterhood breaking the silence of domestic abuse.
That's
and
important.
Providing resources to survivors and trying to take the stigma away. They're all about just putting their faces out there. They give you a lot of businesses in the area posters to put up of survivors, and just kind of reminds people that this is your neighbors and friends. Like, you may not know what's happening. Yeah, it's a big one. And I was really pleased that we got a lot of support on that.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So part of their way of creating like awareness is to actually put the person who was abused picture out into the world, and people who are abused are okay with that. I would assume.
Choose to be, yeah. One of them,
because they look just like us, right? Like I don't know what we think, like,
right?
What I mean, you look at Tina Turner. My God, like she was like a rock star and horrible abuse. It's everybody. Anybody is susceptible to that. So did they approach you?
They did. One of them is actually a customer of ours. A really sweet lady. Yep. Just so positive and full of life, and but got there by connecting with other women and with similar stories and breaking away from her situation. And so they just they really network. They have these campaigns where they're going around and getting local businesses to cooperate in events that raise awareness. I don't know all the details, but right now they're doing, they're having places make a food. Yellow is their color. And
I saw that on their
yeah,
it's pretty. I like it.
I'm speaking of
it's happy
without all the fats,
but that's okay. That's what it's about,
or something like that. Yeah. So they're all creating something yellow to contribute.
Oh, that's cool. It's like a hopeful color. I feel like if you're gonna put like a color to something, I feel like yellow is a nice one.
They were having a celebration in the lavender field in Glendara, lavender field, and they had a local artist do a painting, which was just gorgeous.
That's awesome. There's so many cool ways to bring awareness that, like, a local artist, local community bringing attention in a lavender field that is probably obviously local. They didn't ship in the lavender field. That's awesome. I really am interested more in that. So I can find out information on Finding Our Voices.
Yeah.
Finding Our Voices.
Sorry, that writing was for my eyes.
Yeah, well, it's all right. I got the point. My handwriting is terrible, so I don't. All right. So another thing that we do at Life Forest is we have a children's grief book called You Can Always Talk to Possum at Life Forest. And that was created because it's really sad, but there are too many young children who are losing their parents. And when you see that in a cemetery environment and you see these kids like walk away with nothing, it's really difficult, like, to be that person that's just like facilitating what's going on and realizing that the supports aren't always there for the kids. And there's like a lack of understanding about how they grieve and how they process things and really how to support them best, right? So as we were seeing these children being affected by loss at the cemetery, we reached out to some local children's grief experts and said, hey, can you help us out? Like, can you write this book and that we can give away in our little free library or to the kids that have loss? And they said, yeah. And they did it. And we had an incredible donation from Richard Ingram, who is one of our Forest, and he helped to make sure that all of the illustration cost was covered. And in that, we published the book through a self-publishing model, and it won the best book from the best grief support project through the ICCFA, which is an international cemetery organization for professionals, which was a huge honor and kind of a big deal, since we built all our own benches out of scrap wood. We weren't fancy people to start here, They're still standing though, or sitting, whatever. Anyway, that children's book is available through our website on our resources tab. There's an associated workbook, and you can download that for no cost. And that download actually downloads in black and white. And the reason for that is so that educators or people in situations where there's been like a group loss where it affects a lot of kids, they can just press print, not worry about the cost of printing in color, because that is an expensive, it's expensive to print in color. And a lot of times our educators are doing this and finding this support on their own dime. So we want to support those who are offering support by making it as accessible as possible. So you can get a copy of that free on our website, thelifeforestcemetery.com, and then under the resources tab, it says Children's Grief Book. Just free download. There's no information grab. You don't have to put in your firstborn, your email, your phone number, nothing. It's just a download in order to get that out to the kids that need it. Again, gift economy. And that book actually initiated a grant from the United Way, which was so incredibly shocking and amazing on our side of things to receive that, which is bringing in a story walk for the forest where the kids can go and experience the book and adults can bring them. And again, all through gift economy. So do you have another organization you want to talk about?
I do.
Okay.
One we did recently was Strive. That stands for socialization, transition, reflection, innovation, vocation, education. It's a nonprofit, and it's for it assists teens, tweens, and young adults with intellectual disabilities. So it gets them out in the community, doing activities, even volunteering, and it's just a great way for them to socialize and connect.
That's awesome.
And that one was really close to me because I had a friend who was in the program,
Oh, cool.
a friend of mine's sister who, of course, I became close with, and she was just like a ray of sunshine. She actually passed away last year.
Oh, shit.
Which was terrible, yes. And it really left a hole there. And they had a really nice service for her at their center, and just saw her friends there, got up to speak, and I was just so blown away by how brave they were. And
it makes you so sad.
Everything they said, yeah. So.
It's terrible. It just makes you want to go home and eat. Depression eats. It's like the cemetery. I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. Somebody get me something to eat. Anyway,
nevertheless,
I digress.
A very positive group.
Oh.
And yeah, so donations were coming in pretty steadily for that. And then one customer donated $250.
That's awesome.
I'm not sure if she had a connection with it. I don't know the story, but that was great. It really, bumped up what we were able to give them at the end.
I think too, it's like, I think people who grew up without those supports, when you see that they exist for other people and realize like, wow, I really could have benefited from that, but didn't have it in my life. And then have the opportunity to give back to it for somebody else, not to have to experience something negative. Mm-hmm. And I mean, from what it sounds like, it's exactly that. It's all community based.
Right. Yeah. Like
Bringing kids,
people
together
to have as normal a life as possible.
Yeah.
And, intellectual disabilities in the past, of course, were really isolating for people. Mm-hmm. It's gotten better over the years, but pretty scary, at one point. But so yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
way to make them just have a normal life and just connect with other people who are going through the same things.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool that you had that as an organization that you supported.
We also sponsored an event they did before that. We just donated some snacks. They had like this it was a dance. It was like an all-night dance.
Oh, fun.
For them, yeah.
So snacks are the most important part of a dance.
Right. Yeah, I just stand over at the chip bowl.
Oh,
to dance,
absolutely.
just hang out there.
Yeah, I mean, that is like, that was huge. I mean, if I was a kid there, I'd be like, what's the snack situation going to be? You know? Yeah, so that's awesome. All right. Okay, so I want to talk about the Friends of Life Forest Cemetery Revitalization Gift Economy initiative that we have. This is something where we realize that we have the ability to really help out other cemeteries because we have a lot of the technology, we have the team, we have the resources to assist in a situation where a cemetery has become underfunded and abandoned, and give them and their small either nonprofits or families a little bit of a boost in order to get themselves back up and protected. So a lot of times these older cemeteries become prey to, dumping, a lot of some garbage, sometimes they become places where people who look for, respite outside. So if homeless populations or the unhoused will find, these back corners and oftentimes that comes with litter. And it's kind of a matter of keeping these places beautiful and respectable, and the place that we don't want to forget. It's about legacy protection. All, cemeteries are about legacy protection. And so what we had seen is there is a need for some of these like smaller nonprofit cemeteries to get some additional help. And oftentimes it doesn't take a lot to get them up, going, and hopeful again. Sometimes it feels overwhelming. And so what we will do is we will offer mapping of the cemetery. So the QR code or digital mapping, and that will help them to do things like get arboretum status or become kind of more in line with today's technology. But also we'll do QR code fundraising technology so we can capture on-site donations. So we'll help them create signage for that. We'll help them like create a social media front and face in order to help them to promote any events, any types of ways that people can donate to them. We do solar powered floodlighting in areas that are more vulnerable to that, like littering and vandalism or dumping. And then also some guidance on conservation easements, legal land protections, things like that. So it is, a shorter program, basically kind of in a 90-day envelope where we apply as many resources as we can in order to kind of fill the gaps of what they're needing and give them a foundation to really just start, right? Because if you are so busy picking up trash, you cannot be mapping it, and it's expensive. You cannot be simultaneously picking up trash while trying to plan a fundraising event. And the resources and amount of people that are dedicated to these abandoned cemeteries can be very small. So going in there and showing that we care and we have the resources to help you, hopefully gives them a little bit of a foundation to kind of start from in order to rebuild the care and legacy that every cemetery deserves. So if you want to learn more about that, it's Friends of Life Forest Cemetery Revitalization Program. And you can find that through, Life Forest under our resources tab. A lot of our gift economy model is under that. And there's different lists of like how to qualify and how to apply for that program. So back to Kelly.
Okay.
All right.
Well, what we're currently raising money for this month is the Maine Farmland Trust.
Excellent.
It It's another local organization, and they are around to protect farmland, to support the farmers, give them, good working conditions, helping to make sure that the land is still there for the next generation. All the commercial farming is, a lot of it is just really destructive to the land. They just want to get as much as they can out of it, and they don't, not always looking for the long term. But if you just farm it to death and you don't rotate things properly, then your soil just loses its value. Of course, with all the insecurity about what's coming out, like Taylor Farms, all these big grow operations with multiple problems because of the way things are being handled, it really puts the focus back on making, these small local farmers. It's really important that that's available.
Yeah, we need them.
People have a lot more confidence when they know the farmer, they know where it came from. So we'll see how hopefully that plays out. It certainly fits our market. We sell, I didn't really give that much background of the store and what we actually carry, I guess.
Let's talk about that.
Organic produce. We, as much as we can, we get local produce. Our biggest supplier is Frith Farm in Scarborough, really beautiful produce. We get things from all over the place too. And obviously bananas are not growing in our backyard. But so in addition to that, we have a small deli where we offer prepared foods, not made to order, but grab and go. Pretty good options. Soups,
that's great.
Sandwiches, salads. We have a wellness section, so we have supplements and body care products. People in that department who can talk to people about what might be the best for them. We just basically a mini grocery store. We're not that big, but we have everything you need.
Well, I also like that you have like these cool kind of fun handmade local items in there.
Yeah.
Every time I'm out and about, I like to, if you're going to like go to somebody's house or you're bringing something and you're having a dinner where everybody's kind of bringing an ingredient, I don't know, you always want to bring some little special thing. And it's cool that you guys have that.
Yeah.
You want to make multiple stops,
That's true. I forget about that part. But we have a lot of great gift items and they're reasonably priced. We have like Swedish dishcloths, they're actually great too. They're like a little sponge thing and they dry really quickly. So they never smell and, but they have all really fun, cute designs. So they make a great gift.
Do you have like greeting cards and things?
Oh yeah. We have lots of greeting cards.
You do?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I don't think I knew that. I'm gonna have to show. I love buying a good greeting card. Now, are these like Hallmark cards or are they like...
They're not Hallmark. We have a local one called Tree Free, and they use bamboo instead of paper.
Tree Free. I like that.
Yep. We have these ones called quilling cards, which are not made locally, but they're beautiful.
The ones with the paper?
Yeah, they wind up the paper.
Yes.
I never do that. I shred it up.
It's frustrating. It's going to challenge you.
It's not even...
Make something out of this piece of paper.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Those are around $10, but it's something somebody could frame and hang up after.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen those. Those are awesome. Cool. And so how long is your main farmland trust?
So we do it for the whole month. So it starts on the 1st and ends the last day of the month.
So people still have like half the month to go in and go to Lois's Natural Marketplace. Where are you located exactly?
152 Route 1, Scarborough, Maine.
And so you're off of Route 1. It's really, so if you're coming up towards the Portland area, your store's on the right.
Correct.
And if people want to learn about different monthly initiatives, how would they find that out? Where do you announce that?
We've been kind of going on the fly lately. At this point, we haven't planned too far ahead. We're just sort of taking it as it comes.
That's all right.
Hope to get a little more organized about it at some point. But so we post it as soon as we know.
So where would you find it?
On loisnatural.com.
loisnatural.com. And I know I followed your...
More likely, actually, Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, isn't that like that how we all talk?
I mean, we have a website, but it isn't quite as...
It's hard to update the website. Yeah. There's like all this coding involved when you can just like put something out. I mean, I feel like that's where people communicate now. That's like the new way of the town crier. It's the Instagram. So it's at Lois's Natural Market is Instagram.
Maybe. Just put Lois Natural Marketplace. It'll come up.
With the apostrophe?
If you leave it out, it'll still come up.
Will it though?
Google's pretty smart.
Anyway, okay. Well, so at least something is. All right. So I just want to say thank you again to Kelly, and thank you for all that you do with Life Forest. If you've ever been to a volunteer event with Life Forest, you'll probably meet Kelly doing this. What do you need me to do? Well, how am I supposed to be helpful here?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. But you know what? Showing up is half the battle, and Kelly shows up. And so at both the Life Forest in Hillsborough, and she's been at Life Forest Whistle Ridge, in both those environments. You probably meet Kelly. And I don't know if you'll be able to be at our new location for our Life Forest Midnight Market, but if you can, maybe.
When is it again?
This is September 25th and 6th
Okay.
at the Bower this year. So the Bower is a 900-acre, yes, you heard that correctly, 900-acre forest land protected space that has a outdoor venue. And because we outgrew the cemetery with the Midnight Market, we really looked for another place to have this market that people could still attend. It just became so big that in the cemetery is getting less open space, and we needed more. And I wanted to continue it, but without the risk to the cemetery. So we found somebody with aligned values. She's very cool. Her name's Maudie, and at the Bower, Bower, and that's actually, there's a history to the property around the Bower that is like, I think it's like a garden space, a Bower. Do you know what a Bower is?
I don't.
Okay, well, we're gonna look it up later. So anyway, you may meet Kelly at the Midnight Market if we can get her to go, but it's very far away this year, so we'll see. But again, Kelly, thank you for taking the time with me today at Life Forest. Thank you for all that you do with Life Forest nonprofit, and all that you do for the Project Grace and Heart and Strive and Maine Farmland Trust and the Locker Project. You've also given to Equality Maine and Finding Our Voices. So many things. So yes, please go and follow Lois's Natural Market on your social media platforms. Pop in, buy a cool card, a gift, piece of fresh fruit. You know that you're supporting local farmers when you do that. And it's all good. All about gift economy and reciprocity. So we love it. Thank you. All right, I'm going to shut this off, but I'm not going to shut the computer right away. Okay. End the stream. Yes. End. Okay.